Okay, so my Airbnb arbitrage and co-hosting portfolio now produces over $1 million a year. So I just started this business last year while working a full-time job, and I live nowhere near any of my properties, and now I literally only spend 1 to 2 hours a week managing it while it runs like clockwork. So that sounds pretty crazy, right? But in this video, I'm gonna explain exactly how the back end of my Airbnb business works, so that way it runs autonomously. And that way you can do the same thing also. And at the end of this video, I'll also walk you through a few what-if scenarios, like what if something breaks while I'm super far away from my properties, or what if like a guest needs help in the middle of the night. Now, just to take a quick step back before I dive in, if you're not familiar with the concepts of Airbnb arbitrage or co-hosting, these are two fantastic models to be able to scale a portfolio without having to buy properties by manipulating other properties to do this. So in short, you can either A, arbitrage, which means you can rent a property from a landlord, furnish it, and then list it on Airbnb, just profiting the difference each month. Or B, you can co-host, which is you find a furnished rental or a property that a landlord was intending to put on Airbnb, or put on Airbnb and it failed, and then you basically just offer to take over the operations for them, and then you split a revenue percentage at the end of each month. I love these models because unlike buying real estate, these are super scalable because you don't need all that capital, and it's focused on cash flow, which is much more important if your goal is to get higher income so you can quit your job, live more autonomously, have a little bit more freedom of your life. You also really don't need much cash at all to start this business, really just for like security deposits, because the furniture can actually just be financed. That's what I did, so I didn't have to pay anything out of my pocket. Now, this video is not about how to land these properties, but I have several other videos explaining how to do that, like this one on how to land a property in, I think, 30 to 60 days, just using our scripts and things like that. So you can watch that if you're interested in learning on how to obtain an arbitrage property. But this video is focused on how it runs itself while I live far away and I spend little time on it, and it's about that. So the beauty of creating an Airbnb business is we live in a time when there are so many software tools that allow for automation, and there's so many different types of personnel you can easily hire to help plug into the business and then kind of run the day-to-day. So let me break down full-scale automation in just 3 components. Very simple. The first is guest experience automation. The second is cleaner automation. And the third is maintenance automation. So if you're able to automate these 3 things, you'll never have to step foot in any of your properties, and you can manage them from anywhere in the world. I'm actually hanging out in Scottsdale this weekend. I was here for an entrepreneurship and sales seminar, and I barely interacted with this business at all. So in order to do that automation and do those 3 things that I mentioned, you need 2 things. The first is a virtual assistant team, and then the second is automation software. So I'm going to talk about these 2 things. But that's it. If you have those 2 things, your life is 10 times easier. And you also have 10 times more the amount of time while your portfolio generates money. And that's what's most important. So virtual assistants are real people. They are not AI bots or anything like that. They often work in the Philippines. They work full-time hours for pennies on the dollar. For example, you can often find them for anywhere from $500 to $700 a month for full-time hours, which if you're choosing good Airbnb properties, that's only a fraction of the profits you'll be making on the properties. So it's well worth it. So here are some of the things that a quality virtual assistant can do for you. So the first is guest messaging and phone call interaction. So they'll actually speak to the guests both on the Airbnb platform for messaging, and they'll actually answer phone calls for you. The second are restocking supplies and consumables. So things like toilet paper, paper towels, things like that run out that need to be restocked every month. Third would be communication with your cleaners or handymen to confirm cleaning dates or to organize a repair while you're not available. They would also handle some minor accounting as well. So like really minor basic stuff where they'll just kind of take the details of the reservations that you have and basically lay them out for you so you have everything prepared for your accounting. They'll also even file Airbnb claims for you as well if they're familiar with the platform. Now it's worth emphasizing that a quality virtual assistant is key, one that is already familiar with the Airbnb platform, the software, the claim filing process, etc. And one that's a little bit more familiar with the hospitality space as well. So for example, we actually have ex-Airbnb virtual assistants that run the back end of our business because they worked at Airbnb, they understand the platform, they know how to go through that process. They understand how to be more efficient. We also source these ex-Airbnb virtual assistants for our mentorship students so they can quickly implement them in their businesses and get their time back as well. The point here is that the guest experience is automated as well as cleaning and repairs. So they'll confirm cleans that are on the calendar with my cleaners, so we never miss one, like a late checkout, early check-in, or anything like that. And they'll also schedule repairs with our handyman that are on file. Okay, so then what about software? What do we need that for? So there are plenty of tools for us hosts that allow us to run this business autonomously. Let me give you a few examples and what they are used for. Price Labs is an automation software that automates the pricing based on seasonality, right? If it's a less desirable time of year to rent at a certain city, the software will automatically automate that so the pricing remains competitive and it stays booked. Another one I like is Hospitable. This is a channel management software. This does a few things. It automatically sends smart lock codes to guests every single time, so I don't have to physically send them a message. It also sends automated messages to the guests as well that are timed, so it's based on the guest experience, based on when they arrive, how long they've been there, when they're checking out, when they're checking in, gives them instructions instructions. And then it also integrates with my cleaner's iCalendar, so it will automatically update based on reservations, and they have a real-time live view of all the scheduled cleanings and reservations. Now, there are a few other tools that can help with some more minor things as well, but overall, if you have the things that I've just mentioned earlier in this video, that will dramatically decrease your workload. But if you have everything I've mentioned here, here's the end result. Guests are attended to by a virtual assistant team at all times. They automatically receive codes, they automatically receive instructions. Cleaners are automatically notified of cleanings and bookings. Handymen are notified by your team when repairs are needed, and your properties just run like clockwork. So that's it. It's really not that complicated. Now, it does take a lot of work to actually build all this out, right? Like, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme at all, and you're not gonna have like a six-figure business overnight. However, once things are up and running, like you've acquired the properties and you've built out this back-end system, then an Airbnb business is ridiculously passive. Like, I almost feel guilty because I spend such little time on it. Okay, so like, what if something breaks and I'm far away? What happens? How does that work? So let's say a lamp breaks. So first, the cleaner will notice this when she goes to clean the unit, and then what she'll do is she'll notify our virtual assistant via messaging, like our internal chats, and say, hey, this lamp is broken. So for something minor like a lamp, the virtual assistant would simply just order a new lamp and then file an Airbnb claim. Simple. You would maybe ship it to the cleaner or a handyman to go drop off at the property and then notify them to do that. But if it's something a little bit more complicated that actually requires like a drywall repair or something of that sort, then what the virtual assistant would do is notify a handyman, explain the scope of work, give them the photos that the cleaner sent them, schedule them to go take care of that drywall repair, coordinate that scheduling with the guest, and then just let me know about the invoicing and the end result. Now, here's a little pro tip. If your virtual assistants are good, they'll actually go ahead and file an Airbnb claim as well, and then get a reimbursement for you, so it's actually just a net zero experience. All right, so what if a guest needs help in the middle of the night? They arrive there and they can't get in, or they don't know where the TV remote is, or the air conditioner remote, or any of that stuff. So very, very simple. So they would call the number attached to your Airbnb listing. This would go to your virtual assistant. We would use like an internet phone number for the virtual assistants. There's plenty of softwares that do that. We use Open Phone, but basically they just answer the phone for you. Very simple. Now, what you would want to do is prepare a spreadsheet for them that answers a lot of these frequently asked questions. Like, for example, where is the TV remote? What is the emergency door code? The point is, they answer the phone call in the middle of the night. They look at that sheet, they message that back to the guest or tell them over the phone, hey, here's where the remote is, or here's what the emergency code is to get into the unit if your code doesn't work. And then they just simply answer the call, help out your guest. Very, very simple. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope it gave you a realistic picture of what it looks like to automate an Airbnb business. Because there are so many eyes on the property regularly with cleaners, and because really the only 3 personnel you need are a virtual assistant, a cleaner, and a handyman, it's really not complicated at all to automate this business. And because there are so many eyes on the property more regularly, things get attended to more quickly than a traditional real estate portfolio. If you want to learn any more about how to build an Airbnb arbitrage or co-hosting business yourself, we have a free course on School. I'll drop the link below if you want to join that. Totally free, A to Z course, and it'll give you a really good understanding on where to start. But if you want more serious, more accelerated one-on-one coaching in order to get you to that 6-figure result and automate it ASAP within 90 days or less, you can go ahead and click the link in the bio here as well to book a call with me and my team. This is a strategy call. It's totally 100% free, and we just kind of want to see what your goals are and see if it even makes sense to consider something like a mentorship. Otherwise, guys, or just add me on Instagram, shoot me a message if you have a question. Peace.